can't see them doesn't mean they're not there.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2009 horror sequel, Wrong Turn 3 Left for Dead. The film is directed by Declan O'Brien and it stars Tom Frederick, Janet Montgomery, Gil Collerin, we have Christian Contras, we have Tom McKay and Tamir Hassan. Right, this is the third in the Wrong Turn franchise, and it focuses this time on a group of prisoners. They are being transferred to a different prison. They're all highly dangerous prisoners, and in order to kind of keep the transfer secret, they decide to take the wrong turn, and they go down the way where these rednecks are, redneck mutated guys, and they are the prison bus is turned over, and they had to head off into the wilderness in order to survive going up against these mutated mountain men. Right, what are my thoughts on Wrong Turn 3 Left for Dead? Well, I have reviewed the other two, and again, if you follow my channel, you'll know this. I reviewed Wrong Turn a couple of weeks ago. At that point, that was the only Wrong Turn film I'd seen, apart from the 2021 reboot. Then I reviewed the second Wrong Turn film that I wasn't impressed with. I didn't like that very much at all, and I was debating whether I should leave it there, but you guys know sometimes I'm glutton for punishment. I like to torture myself, and out of morbid curiosity, I thought, well, I'm going to check out the third one. Fully expecting it to be probably worse than the second one. And I have to say, after like 5 minutes in, when a lady undresses herself and gets an arrow through her breast and another one through an eye, and then one of these mutated mountain men eats her eye, I wasn't hopeful at that point that this was going to be a quality film. I'm not going to lie. But shockingly and amazingly, I actually preferred this film to the second one. I thought the idea was a better one, the idea of these prisoners. You kind of struggled for someone to root for at times in this, but it did kind of give you, because you had like the head prison guard, Nate. He was they gave you him to root for. There was another character called Alex, who was a survivor from an earlier attack in the film of these people that were out kind of kayaking, and they got attacked by the mountain men sort of thing. So you got them two, and then there's a couple of the prisoners as well that are fairly likable and not as dastardly as some of the others. So you've got this constant infighting between these prisoners and stuff, but also at the same time they have to try and work together to survive the situation that they're in. So that's quite an interesting dynamic, I thought, here, and for the most part it worked. It does get to the point where you get a bit fed up of the arguing between some of the prisoners, because they find this armoured truck that's full of money. Now these deformed mountain people have no use for that money, so it's just kind of sat there. But these prisoners think all their Christmases have come at once, so what do they want to do? Well, they want to steal all that money, so therefore they're weighing themselves down, carrying all this money through the woods, not really knowing where they're going, even though Nate, who apparently grew up around there, and obviously clearly never heard of these mountain men before, but apparently he's a fairly local, supposedly guiding them through the woods, but how he's doing that in the dark is another question. So you've got them kind of trying to make their way through the woods, arguing all the time, occasionally coming up against, these mutated guys. arguing a bit more. A couple of them might die here and there. Traps, running, swearing, killing, fighting, that kind of stuff. And it kind of follows that pattern pretty much for the rest of the film. And while it can admittedly come a bit tedious after a while, I still thought the concept here and the hook was much better than the second one, which was this ridiculous reality TV show, where they try to survive in the woods. It was just a terrible idea that wasn't executed at all well. But the concept here of escaped prisoners. Imagine, maybe Harrison Ford's a fugitive escaping from his bus and then being hunted by these mountain men. Similar kind of thing. Apart from Harrison Ford was innocent and these are bloody guilty. Two things I found really interesting about this film as well is it stars Tamir Hassan, and he is about as Mexican stroke American as I am. Generally speaking, he plays Cockney Wide Boys because he's from this country, he's from London, and usually you see him playing like Cockney Wide Boys stroke gangsters. So to see him playing this part was a bit jarring, but not nearly as much as seeing Tom McKay in this film. Now, that name might not mean anything to you, but if you're a gamer like me and you've played the Kingdom Come Deliverance games, he plays Henry in those games. And it was fascinating to see him in this, because I've never seen him actually in a real film. I've only ever seen him in Kingdom Come Deliverance. And when you've spent so long with a character, because those games could be like 100 hours long each sort of thing, it was interesting to see him play a different role here. And again, he was playing an American. So that, for me, made the film more interesting as well, because of that concept alone with those two actors in it. Beyond that, okay, this is not what you would describe as high quality stuff. I think to some degree these cannibalistic hillbillies, whatever you want to call them, at times almost took a back seat a little bit. Thankfully, we didn't get any of that god-awful sexual scenes that we got in the second one between the hillbillies. God. But I do find them frustrating because they're charging about laughing manically, these cannibalistic mountain people, hillbillies, whatever you want to call them. And I found it a little bit distracting. And almost comical at times. And it didn't feel like you could necessarily take them particularly seriously at times. And then they'll set some kind of trap and chop somebody into 3 different parts, and you can't, or wrap somebody up in barbed wire and drag them along the road, and you're kind of thinking, oh yeah, I forgot. They're bastards, aren't they? Because you just finished a scene where these prisoners are just, threatening to kill this, that, and the other person, and so you're kind of thinking, oh God, I can't wait for them to get it. And then, again, you're introduced to these cannibals, showing you what little buggers they can be as well. So yeah, this is not top quality sequel stuff, but it's an improvement over the last one in my opinion, and there was a lot more fun to be had with this one. Its tongue was a little bit in its cheek a little bit, didn't take itself as seriously as the second one maybe, but yeah, dare I carry on and watch the next one? I'm not so sure. I might well do that, but let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.